Hi. Maybe like you, I am under a government mandated work from home. So I've been getting a lot of questions from clients asking about rent relief and how to get their rent lowered or forgiven by landlords. And so I wanted to talk about blend and extend. Blend and extend was very effective. We used it on dozens of leases during the last economic downturn. And so I wanted to give you an example of a space reduction blend and extend. So this is a great way to get some immediate rent relief, cut your rent in half. I'm going to use an example here of you have 20,000 square feet, you're paying $20 a square foot. Monthly rent is 33,000 and change. Remaining months in this example, I'm using 24. The shorter the term, the easier it is. And in this case, the remaining obligation would be that 33,000 times 24 months, or $800,000 of rent remaining obligation. In such case, we would propose to the landlord, perhaps as example, cutting the space in half and also cutting the rent in half. So this example shows 10,000 square feet of space, $20 a square foot. We're going to keep it the same, cuts the rent in half to 16,000 and change. We'll offer a 60-month, 5-year term, and that remaining obligation times 60 months would be $1 million of new obligation to the landlord. So here's what that would look like before and after. We had 20,000 square feet. We're proposing that we cut it in half to 10. We're going to keep the rate the same. Obviously, that's a negotiation point. The monthly rent went from 33,000 and change down to 16,000 and change, cutting it right in half. The monthly remaining term was 24. We're offering 60. Here's what that would look like. The old obligation was 800,000. The new obligation would be $1 million. So here's the benefits. It immediately gives rent relief to the tenant. You can have this take effect the first of the next coming month. So if that's a week away, you can immediately have that kick in. You get to stay in place. So there's minimal disruption to your staff at a time when you probably don't need it. And you also keep the same address and probably the same suite number. So to your customers, nothing has changed. Maybe your competitors, nothing has changed. And there's also a possibility that you could keep an option or first right of refusal potential for that space that you gave up. And in fact, it could actually even be just a virtual give back where you put tape on the floor. The landlord could just start charging you for it. You may have to move to one side of the tape or the other. But the landlord doesn't need to build that wall and separate the space until they find a replacement tenant for the other half. Now, what's that look like from the landlord's perspective, and why would they do that? Well, first of all, they get that increased obligation, $1 million obligation now versus $800,000 they had before. They get to keep you as a good tenant. They also have a 10,000 square foot asset to lease. So in addition to that $1 million obligation, they also have 10,000 square feet, and that's what they do. They lease out space. So that's real currency to them. Now, admittedly, the market may be going down, so that may lose value the deeper we get into this. But for now, let's assume that there is that is attractive to them. And of course, they also have the goodwill, because in 2 years, if they didn't do this for you, you're going to remember them as the landlord that wouldn't help you out when you needed it. So that goodwill is certainly worth something to them. So most smart landlords will take advantage of that. We recognize that a lot of firms are getting hurt by this COVID-19 and the social distancing and the mandated stay at home. So we are waiving, Avocat Group is waiving all of our hourly consulting fees to help companies through this. We will provide you with suggestions and advice. We will do a review of your existing lease and look at any lease clauses that might apply, sublease rights that you might have. We will make initial contact with the landlord and bring up the subject to get this going for you. If you would like some help, I'm Walt Batansky, CFO of Avocat Group. Feel free to reach out to me. There's my contact number, or best to email me at wb@avocatgroup.com, and we're glad to help you out. Good luck with this. Stay healthy.